Have you ever noticed that some of the smartest people in the room rarely look impressive at first? They are not always the loudest. They are not always the quickest to speak. And they definitely do not spend every moment showing everyone how much they know. In fact, real intelligence is often much quieter than people expect. It can look like silence. It can look like deep focus. It can even look like someone drifting off for a moment while their mind is building connections nobody else can see yet. And that is what makes it so easy to miss. Because very high intelligence does not always show up as flashy talent. Sometimes it appears as a set of subtle habits, small patterns in how a person thinks, questions, learns, and responds to the world around them. And once you know what to look for, those patterns become hard to ignore. So, in this video, let's explore 10 surprisingly common habits of highly intelligent people, and more importantly, why these habits matter in real life. Number 1, they spend a lot of time inside their own thoughts. Highly intelligent people often think far more than they speak, not because they have nothing to say, but because their mind is almost always processing something in the background. They replay conversations, they test ideas, they connect one observation to another, and sometimes they are not even focused on one clear topic. Their brain is simply exploring. To other people, this can look like distraction or daydreaming, but often it is internal work. For them, thinking is not just a tool. It is a place they naturally return to. And this matters because deep thinking allows them to see patterns before other people even realize. There is a pattern to notice. Number 2, they ask questions that feel slightly uncomfortable. Most people ask questions to get answers. Highly intelligent people often ask questions to challenge the frame itself. They do not stop at what. They move quickly into why, how, and what if. Why do we assume this is normal? How do we know that belief is even true? What would change if the opposite were true? These kinds of questions can make them fascinating to talk to, but they can also make simple conversations unexpectedly deep. The reason this habit is so powerful is that unusual questions lead to unusual insights. When someone is willing to question what everyone else accepts, they often find blind spots that other people never even considered. Number 3, they are comfortable spending time alone. Many highly intelligent people genuinely enjoy solitude. Not because they dislike others, but because silence gives their mind room to expand. When the environment becomes quieter, their thoughts become clearer. They can explore ideas longer. They can reflect without interruption. They can follow curiosity wherever it leads. For them, being alone is not always loneliness. Very often it is mental freedom. This is an important distinction because some people mistake solitude for social weakness. But for a reflective mind, alone time can be where the best thinking happens. Number 4, they update their opinions faster than most people. One of the strongest signs of intelligence is not always confidence, or sometimes it is flexibility. Highly intelligent people can hold a belief strongly, then change it quickly when better evidence appears. They do not see being wrong as a personal failure. They see it as part of learning. That is rare. A lot of people defend old views because they are emotionally attached to them, but an intelligent mind is often more loyal to truth than ego. Of course, this can confuse people around them. Yesterday, they believed one thing. Today, they believe something else. But that does not always mean they are inconsistent. Sometimes it means they were paying attention. Number 5, they notice details that other people miss. A tiny pause in someone's voice, a contradiction in a story, a shift in body language, a pattern hidden inside something ordinary. Highly intelligent people often pick up on these small details automatically. Their mind does not just collect information, it organizes it. That is why they can sometimes sense that something is off before anyone else sees it clearly. This is useful in problem solving, decision making, and reading people. But it also has a downside. When your brain notices everything, it is hard to unsee things. Small inconsistencies can keep echoing in your mind long after the moment has passed. Number 6, they get mentally bored very quickly. This does not mean they are arrogant. It usually means their brain needs novelty, depth, or challenge to stay engaged. If something becomes too repetitive, too predictable, or too shallow, their attention starts to drift. Not because they are lazy, but because their mind is craving stimulation. That is why highly intelligent people often develop interests that seem strangely random to everyone else. One week they are reading about ancient empires. The next week it is neuroscience, then astronomy, then animal behavior, then some obscure topic nobody expected them to care about. Their curiosity does not always move in a straight line, but it keeps moving. And that constant search for mental stimulation often becomes one of their biggest strengths. Number 7, they are drawn to difficult problems. Most people avoid complexity if they can. Highly intelligent people often lean toward it. A complicated question does not always scare them. Sometimes it energizes them. Their brain sees layers, possibilities, moving parts. Instead of shutting down, they become more alert. That is because complex problems give them something simple. Problems cannot. Room to think deeply. They enjoy the puzzle. They enjoy the uncertainty. They enjoy the process of putting pieces together until something finally clicks. Of course, this also means they sometimes spend a ridiculous amount of time solving problems nobody asked them to solve. But to them, the challenge itself is rewarding. Number 8, they tend to overthink. This is one of the less glamorous sides of intelligence. A mind that can imagine many possibilities can also get trapped inside too many possibilities. A simple message becomes 10 possible interpretations. A small decision becomes a chain of future consequences. One awkward moment becomes a replay loop that refuses to end. Highly intelligent people are often good at seeing outcomes before they happen, but that same ability can create mental overload. And this is where intelligence becomes complicated, because seeing more does not always bring peace. Sometimes it brings pressure. Sometimes the very mind that helps a person understand the world also makes it harder for them to relax inside it. Number 9, they are more comfortable saying, "I don't know." This habit is deeply underrated. People who are less reflective often rush towards certainty because certainty feels safe. But highly intelligent people usually understand how complex reality actually is. They know that many questions do not have easy answers. They know that first impressions can be wrong. They know that confidence and accuracy are not the same thing. So instead of pretending to know, they stay open. They are willing to pause, to observe, to revise, to wait for better information. And in a world where many people speak too quickly, this kind of intellectual honesty stands out. Number 10, they never really stop learning. Perhaps the most consistent habit of highly intelligent people is curiosity that never fully switches off. They want to understand, not just memorize, but understand. They ask one question, and it leads to another, then another, then another. For them, learning is not always about achievement. It is often about satisfaction. There is something deeply rewarding about seeing a new layer of reality more clearly than before. And that is why intelligent people often keep learning long after they no longer need to. Not for grades, not for status, not for applause, or just because their mind feels most alive when it is discovering something new. But here is the part people do not talk about enough. These habits do not automatically mean someone has a high IQ, and having a high IQ does not automatically make life easier. Some of these traits can also show up in people who are anxious, introverted, highly sensitive, or mentally exhausted. So this is not a perfect checklist. It is a pattern. Still, when several of these habits appear together, they often reveal something important. A mind that is unusually reflective, a mind that resists shallow thinking, a mind that keeps searching beneath the surface. And that kind of intelligence can be both a gift and a burden. because it helps you notice what others miss, but it also makes it harder to turn your mind off. It helps you see complexity. But it can also make simple things feel strangely heavy. That is the quiet side of intelligence people rarely mention. Not the performance, not the image, not the stereotype, just the inner life of a mind that keeps reaching for deeper understanding, even when the world around it is satisfied with easy answers. If this felt familiar, maybe the goal is not to label yourself. Maybe the goal is simply to understand your own mind a little better. And that understanding matters. Because when you understand how your mind works, you stop fighting parts of yourself that were never flaws to begin with. You start using them with intention. And in a noisy world, that may be one of the smartest things a person can learn. This is the quiet mindset where depth matters more than noise.